a little over 5 months, maybe closer to 6. Um, I just found out the lady here who is the homeless liaison. Her name is Laura. So I got to go try to find her. One of the folks in town who's got a really chill dog is nearby, so I get to stare at his dog for a minute and be happy. Hey, Thor. Although it looks like his owner is sleeping, so I'm gonna leave him be. Busted shovel handle. Looks like they used to make a different tool. Alright, so the homeless liaison lady, I should probably be able to meet up with her in the next couple of days. And I guess she's the one she's homeless, but she's also a homeless liaison. She actually gets paid for the job. That's what I did in Boulder, but I just didn't get paid. I made sure that people made it to their appointments. I went with people to their appointments so that they would actually get heard instead of blown off. Like, I know my shit. The reason that I know my shit is because I've been through it. First-hand experience is better than whatever bullshit you're being sold, no matter where you're being sold it from. Also, there's different people who have different experiences out here. There's a lot of homeless people like Gabby Petito. Pretty white girls. They're actually traveling. For them, it's basically a vacation. It's going and seeing the sights and having fun and getting drunk and doing drugs. For them, it's a different experience. When you're doing that kind of stuff and you're living that kind of a life, the homeless people that you're going to be around are going to be representative of that. Those are the homeless people that you have actively sought out, or the ones that actively sought out you because of, well, usually mutual drug use. How do you find the people when you move into a new town? You want to smoke pot, you go find the potheads. Boom, you got a friend. That can get volatile. Not with the potheads usually. Usually it's with the alcoholics or the meth addicts or the heroin addicts. They have expectations and they do things that we don't want to get into that, do we? No, we don't. Anyway, now that I know who the homeless liaison lady is, and she doesn't get paid very much, but I'm going to try to get a hold of her and see what I can work out through her. Like I said, her name is Laura. The other lady who is going to help me today, she stopped by earlier, but they were heading out and doing something. There's a guy named Rudy who's in jail, and he's in a wheelchair. He picks up a lot of the trash around here. And he's locked up because as a homeless person without a vehicle, he ain't exactly got the resources to go jumping through hoops. And without a phone of his own, that made it even more complicated. He did all the things he was supposed to do. It's not that he didn't make the efforts. And multiple people here in town have vouched for the fact that he did make the efforts. One lady even vouched for the fact that she used her phone. Jesus fuck, who keeps turning on my lights? I know it ain't me. That's not a funny fucking joke. I know that because I keep on getting out and checking my lights to make sure they're not on. I'm always paranoid. Well, here, since I I don't know, probably about 3 months or so in. Sometimes I get back to my vehicle and the lights are on. And at first I thought maybe I was accidentally flipping the switch, but you have to physically turn it to turn on the lights. If somebody does that and it kills my battery, then I'm stranded. I might get towed. They'll tow my vehicle and all my evidence. I still don't have a safe place for it. 6 years of trying to get somebody to look at it. I don't even have a safe place to fucking put it. I mean, Mandy Singer, her idea of holding on to it for me. I didn't need her to hold on to it for me. I needed her to turn it in with me. But when I said that I needed that stuff in the hands of someone who's going to help, I mean, that stuff needs to be turned into a lawyer if I get one. It all needs to be shown. All the stuff that I've been through over one little white lie. And a lot of people have told little white lies since then, thinking they were protecting me or pretending like they were protecting others. But the shit they pulled is immoral and illegal. And I got this stuff recorded, and if this homeless liaison lady is any good at what she does, and I hope she is good at what she does, maybe she'll be able to help me. If I don't get my disability renewed and get that taken care of, I won't have any money to do anything with. The problem is that I can't keep on wasting that money jumping through hoops for places where the police victimize the homeless, and so does the public. And that's everywhere in the United States. And the worst things get for people who live in houses. Upper middle class white people, for the most part, when they don't get what they want, we're the people that are going to come down on. We also got the south side of the tracks issue. We got a bunch of people from the north side of the tracks that always want to jump onto the south side and play ghetto for a bit. No, rich boy. Step off. Sure, you might not be rich, but that ain't what it's about. You got more money than we do. That means you mean more to the public than we do. And you know you can prey on that. You know you can prey on people's opinion that everybody who's homeless must be mentally ill. Shit. We got what, 80% of the people in the United States have been diagnosed with some mental illness? 80%. That's fucking phenomenal. I've spent literally tens of thousands of dollars jumping through hoops. My disability money that was supposed to be so that I can have a fresh start all got spent on jumping through hoops over false charges. They do this to people who are homeless and disabled. They do it to people who are riding the clock on the government. People who actually need it are being denied these services because it's just them who goes in. For us, me asking any homeless person here for help with that's like pulling teeth. I gotta listen to fucking literally 2 goddamn hours of stories. I literally get to the point where I just get up and walk away. I don't want to fucking, if you're not gonna try, don't fucking give me 2 hours of bullshit. I'm gonna walk away and do something productive. I don't want to listen to you talk about fucking child molesters for fucking 4 hours. If you got dogs, I'll pet your dogs, but I don't want to listen to that shit. I don't want to hear you singing songs about child molesting either. That fucking drives me nuts. And if I, just like that old man that wanted to say the N-word, he, when I told him I didn't like the N-word, he started using it all the time and calling me the N-word. There's actually several recordings that I have where he's on my channel using the N-word towards me. I did get my computer running a little bit earlier. It wanted to do this update thing, and it's probably going to want to do that for another 4 hours or more. It might take a full 8. The thing is running slow as shit. It doesn't want to perform any of the functions required of it. It took forever to do anything today. I'm worried about all the evidence that's on it and all my password stuff that's on it, and if it goes down, not being able to have access to the evidence that I'm trying to get someone to fucking look at and share. The police tried schizophrenics so they wouldn't listen to things that I can prove are true. Many of these things I've already... I need someone to listen to the recordings to help me to turn them in. This needs to be brought before the United Nations Peacekeeping Council for a reason. It's not just me. There are literally tens of thousands of victims, if not more. Well, the number one reason for becoming homeless for both men and women is victimization. It used to be aging out of the system. Now they've got programs that apparently are supposed to help people. They help the women. They help the females. If you're a female who grew up in the system, people feel especially sorry for you. They will help you to do everything that you need to in order to get tutors and go through college and all of that shit. If you want to party through college and get pregnant, and they'll help you to finish college still and help you to get everything taken care of with your pregnancy. If you're a guy, you're screwed. Men do not have the opportunities that women have. There's a difference between equality and smashing people into the dirt. Not all white people are responsible for the bad laws. Most white people are being victimized by the same laws that other people are victimized. Many of these laws are in place specifically because the South wanted to maintain slavery after the Civil War, and the North went along with it. The 13th Amendment made it legal and created incentive for the United States government to incarcerate black people nationwide. Anybody who was homeless, matter of fact. Those were the laws that were first enacted. When Adolf Hitler went after the people that he went after, he used the United States as model of the chain gangs. The chain gangs were created so the 13th Amendment could be used to its maximum effect. It was basically wholesale farming of human beings, and it continues to this day. There are still black people and white people now, homeless people primarily, in fields in Georgia and other southern states. Because the 13th Amendment does allow slavery if you're convicted of a crime and you've made homelessness the worst crime out there. You hate the homeless more than you hate black folks. You hate the homeless more than you hate drunken Native Americans. You hate the homeless more than you hate Jews. You hate the homeless more than you hate the disabled. You hate the homeless more than you hate anyone else, because they're the only ones that you are politically allowed to victimize now. You can still take it out on black people as long as they're homeless black people. If you're a racist black man, you can still take it out on white people. You just have to take it out on homeless white people. If you don't like Asians, you can still get away with taking it out on Asians as long as they're homeless Asians, because even the Asian community doesn't recognize Asian people when they're homeless. Even the black community doesn't recognize black people when they're homeless. Even the white community doesn't recognize white people when they're homeless. You're not a human being. Our society says that if you're homeless, you wanted it, needed it, chose it, or deserved it. Our society says that if you're a man, it must be your fault. These are society's bias. They should never be written into law. These bias are the same bias by which the slave trade was allowed to thrive here in the United States. Even before it was the United States, Sir Francis Drake and Queen Elizabeth I, they started the slave trade here in the United States. They started it. Now, how horrible is that? Don't get me wrong, Christopher Columbus sailing as an Italian through Spain, they did have slavery and they did force people into slavery, but it wasn't slave trafficking the way that it was from Africa, and that did start with Queen Elizabeth I and Sir Francis Drake. When people talk about Sir Francis Drake being a pirate and a scoundrel, oh God, he was worse than that. He was a horrible excuse for a human being. You guys want to talk about the atrocities committed by Christopher Columbus? Sir Francis Drake made him look like a fucking Boy Scout. And then, of course, you got the Dutch involved in that. Yep, or the United Dutch Provinces at the time. And then they started doing the whole slave trade thing through South Africa and bringing them to the United States. Queen Elizabeth I started the franchise, but she didn't keep it as a franchise for very long. Now, years later, slavery was made illegal in Great Britain in 1066, but not in the colonies. So for Queen Elizabeth, she could still invest in slavery and not break the law because it's still illegal in Great Britain. It's still illegal on the island itself, just not in the colonies or the territories. Something fishy going on there. Oh yes, we are for freedom of our people. Truly we are. When the United States did it, after the Civil War, to all them black people, and it was used against white people too, as far as the grandfather clause, where if your grandfather didn't own property, he didn't have any rights. Well, it was later changed to if you don't have any property. If you're a landowner, then you have rights. All of the people that I stayed with, they had rights that I didn't. That's what made it a subservient environment. I had to do what they wanted when they wanted it. And if I didn't, they acted like petulant children because, well, most of these people were on drugs. Many of these people out here on the streets are on drugs. It's hard to get them to do anything for themselves, let alone try to work together with somebody. They all have some excuse. If it's a woman, they might help, but chances are they're just going to have excuses. None of my heroes are perfect. I've done everything I can to try to turn in the crimes that have been committed against me. The cruelty. It needs to stop. Somebody needs to do something about it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The longer it takes to show this evidence, the more is going to get lost or stolen, and that's not okay. I am one ticket away from being screwed because I don't know if I'm going to get paid after the first. I got to try to believe what Megan Investigator said, and it's tough to believe that shit. She's changed her mind about events too many times for me to believe what she has to say. She's also thrown stuff in my face that I tried to get help with. Things that I went to her for help. And she threw it in my face about how the situation ended up when she didn't help. Later on when she did, it was just enough to claim that she did. But not in court where it mattered. And one of those court dates, the one with Leslie Snell, she absolutely should have spoken up. It's not my fault Megan Messigatis didn't. It's also not my fault that the lady today didn't come back. I was hoping she would, but life happens, and she might be in the Dalles waiting for Rudy, hoping that he'll get released today. She said she'll let me know when she knows something. Hopefully I don't know, I don't want to go back to her camp while it's dark, because that's kind of rude. Plus the homeless community, they're kind of, how do you put it, standoffish always, and for good reason. People like to victimize us. They like to get all up in our grill and pretend like we're not people and like we deserve the punishment that we're given. People like to take advantage of us because they know that they can. They know that they can get away with it. They know that we wouldn't be out here on the streets if we had what they had. Whether that be parents that help, getting a decent job with decent pay that doesn't tear your body apart, not being disabled. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into the situation that I'm dealing with that people don't want to imagine. I got a fucked up back and fucked up legs, and I gotta walk all over the place to try to get stuff done because gas in this thing is not too expensive. It's the fact that with fixing it, keeping insurance on it, I'm not able to get any help for myself. I can't do these things for myself. I shouldn't even be driving, but if I lose my vehicle, I lose my evidence, and if I lose my evidence, then the slander gets to stand and people will hurt me for the rest of my life. I will never be allowed ever again in my life to be treated like a human being. All of the money that I should have had, all of my backup money, the back pay money for disability, all ended up going right back to the government for taking advantage of me, for denying me my right to face my accusers, denying me the right to make a police report, not investigating the things that I did turn in, cutting me off from resources, making me a target for the American public, lying to them. This includes the officers involved. And you know what? It doesn't matter how much evidence I have if nobody wants to look at it. If people are going to pretend that they want to help and then this is how they help. No. This isn't help. Empty promises are not help. There are so many days where people said they were going to come back and they were going to help, and they never did. And it's open-ended, and I end up waiting. When they make it open-ended, like Miss Peaches did about going in with me, when are you going to? Because in all that time that she was promising me that she was going to, she just never did. That forced me into a desperate situation. She didn't care. She didn't think about any of the other people involved, any of the other people who were being threatened, harassed, or intimidated. And I've got the recordings from all of these people. The reasons that they didn't help me when they claimed that they would. The reason that they never did. And of course, they wanted to throw me away for posting that up. Shame on them. It shows their shame, not mine. It shows that the narrative sold by the fucking cops to the courts and by my predators to the courts was absolutely not true. But these people just promised to help, pretended to help, but didn't. None of the things that they did to help me, none of them mattered if they never came forward about it. None of it mattered if they didn't go in with me in person for my safety to help me turn that shit in and to verify that I was telling the truth. Because when you're called mentally ill, that is literally the only way that you can cut them off from treating you the way that I've been treated and the way that many other people out here on the streets have been treated, are treated often and frequently. These officers prey on the fact that we won't be allowed an honest day in court. The judges use us for their bread and butter. Oh, look at how many horrible homeless criminals we've taken off the streets. No, you're leaving the criminals on the streets, and you're grabbing any homeless person that's not doing nothing wrong, and you're putting them on probation for shit they didn't do. You're blowing them off until they have to literally do desperate shit like go out into the middle of the road and fucking scream at the top of their lungs for help. Over and over again. A lot of you guys, you want to applaud Zayd Atkinson, one of the biggest bitches in border history. You guys want to applaud him for standing up to these fuckers. I've been standing up to him for years. I'm still standing up to him. But I didn't have the help that he did. People didn't pretend the things about him that they pretended about me. He was allowed to defend himself. He was allowed to sell his own narrative. The media helped him instead of harming him. There are so many people that say, well, did you try contacting the media? Yes, I did. You should try contacting the media. I already did multiple times without someone making the calls with me. These assholes get to pretend it didn't happen. Even when I record it and put it on YouTube, I'm not allowed to take it to court or show it in court. But my predators are allowed to pull out little bits and pieces that they want, and they're actually allowed to go to court, whereas I'm denied the right. Whereas their attorneys will show up. My public pretenders didn't show up to our meetings. They didn't show up to court repeatedly, over and over again. And that's, well, across the nation. When I say this stuff has happened from coast to coast, it has happened from coast to coast. Having to rely on drug dealers and drug addicts for help. No, they're not going to help me turn it into the cops. They're going to promise that they're going to do so, but they're not going to. And then there's the catfish. Like Layla Johnson. You get to listen to Dan Faber talking about how she was all in love with me and she was going to come and this and she was going to come and that. You have to listen to it. Dan Fabert. DANFABERT. Some of those videos would be me screaming about Dan Fabert and the situation, and some of them, it's actually conversations with him. So recognize that there's a difference between the two. And yes, I do get very angry. After what I've been through, I should be allowed. My predators are allowed to be angry. They're allowed to be angry enough to literally threaten to kill me and my loved ones and to stalk me and my loved ones. They're allowed to be that angry. They were that angry before Natalie was killed over things that didn't even happen. And to this day, I've never been allowed to show that to the media. I've never been allowed to show that to the police. I've tried. They won't look. They don't care. Because it shows their wrongdoing. It includes evidence of the slander that they put into my court paperwork and my court dates. It includes the standards by which I am still abused today. The standards by which homeless people and disabled males especially are treated in this country. I don't owe it to you to take your abuse. What these people who want to tell me to let it go and to move on aren't understanding is that I don't get to. I can't take care of myself. People are taking full advantage of the fact that I can't take care of myself. These government agencies just want to take control of the money. They're not going to help me turn in my predators or to protect me from the abuse that I will have to endure for the rest of my life because these agencies did not do their jobs. All it would have taken for these people to do their jobs was people to make the initial calls with me to help me to turn this in to begin with instead of procrastinating for months or years on end. In some of these states, the things that people did are felonies. In the state of Colorado, what Mandy Hughes, as well as all of the Bollingers and Natalie's mother's side of the family, the things that they did are felonies in the state of Colorado. They are also federal crimes. The way that they did those things on the internet, the fact that they were heard and their victim was not. I am their victim, not the other way around. But nobody cares. Everybody tells me how they're afraid. Oh, they want help with their shit, but they're not going to help me with mine. They're selfish. Let's work together. If we're not going to work together and you're not going to help me, why am I wasting my time with you? Like that guy with the dogs wants to talk to me for hours on end. No, dude, I don't want to fucking listen to it for hours on end. This is not an open fucking therapy invitation. If you actually care about doing something about child molesters, this is your fucking opportunity to actually do something. Don't fucking talk to me for 2 to 4 hours about child molesters. I'm fucking sick of it. When I say I don't want to hear it, then he makes sure that every single sentence after that, he says it over and over and over again. I heard you. I've heard all of your songs over and over again. When I walk the other way, because I've already told him I don't want to hear the song anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. So I start walking the other way, and he'll turn around and follow me. Still singing that song. But I'm super nice to him about it. He did give me a $21 Starbucks card today. I'm glad for that. But you also notice I didn't get a whole hell of a lot done today. Because of that $21 card that he gave me, I was able to get my electronics charged up a little bit. I was also able to get my computer somewhat updated. It's hopefully when it is updated, I can dig through and grab the evidence that I need and start posting it up on YouTube. A lot of conversations with Dallas, where he talks about being afraid for him and his kids, the tactics that people used to harm him, to make him afraid to help, the fact that he wanted to blame me for it. It's my fault that these people did this. Not cool. It's right of me to speak out. Someone has to. The world changes when we make it change. I got a cool dinosaur. All right. It's good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind.